Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is a mental health condition that can develop after a person experiences or witnesses a traumatic event, such as war, assault, an accident, or natural disaster. But trauma isn't only what happens to us, it's what happens inside us as a result. PTSD is not weakness, it's the brain's survival system stuck in overdrive. Your brain and body are trying to protect you, but the system gets stuck. The danger has passed, but your body continues to act as if you are still in peril. Understanding this is the first step. Your symptoms are your brain's alarm working overtime, not a personal failing. To understand PTSD, we first need to look at the brain's remarkable yet sometimes flawed survival hardware. When faced with a traumatic event, our brain doesn't have time for complex thought. It reacts instantly. Deep inside, a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala acts as our primary alarm system. It screams, danger, and triggers the primitive fight, flight, or freeze response, flooding our body with adrenaline to prepare us for immediate action. This entire process is managed by the autonomic nervous system, or ANS. Think of the ANS as having a gas pedal, the sympathetic nervous system, and a brake, the parasympathetic. In a crisis, the amygdala slams on the gas. Your heart pounds, your breathing quickens, and your senses go on high alert. This is your body doing exactly what it's supposed to do to keep you alive. Once the threat passes, the parasympathetic system should apply the brakes, allowing your body and mind to return to a calm, resting state. But in PTSD, the off switch is broken. The alarm system never fully shuts down. This leads us to the first key neurological change: an overactive amygdala. This fear center remains on high alert, constantly scanning the environment for threats, real or perceived. It's like having a smoke detector that's so sensitive it goes off every time you make toast. The gas pedal of the nervous system is essentially stuck to the floor. The second key change involves the hippocampus, the brain's librarian. Its job is to catalog our experiences, giving them a timestamp and placing them in context. It helps us understand that a memory is from the past. In PTSD, the hippocampus can become impaired. The constant flood of stress hormones, particularly cortisol, can actually shrink this area. As a result, traumatic memories aren't properly filed away. They remain fragmented, emotionally charged, and lack a past label. This is why a memory can feel like it's happening right now, leading to vivid flashbacks and nightmares. It's not just remembering, it's reliving. The third piece of the puzzle is the prefrontal cortex, or PFC. This is the brain's rational command center, responsible for logic, decision-making, and emotional regulation. The PFC's job is to assess the amygdala's alarm signals and say, wait, that loud noise was just a car backfiring, not a gunshot. We're safe. Stand down. In PTSD, the PFC becomes underactive, and its communication line to the amygdala is weakened. The logical brain can't effectively override the emotional brain's panic signals. This makes it incredibly difficult to calm down, think clearly, and regulate intense emotional responses when triggered. Together, these three brain changes create the core symptoms of PTSD. The overactive amygdala leads to hypervigilance and an exaggerated startle response. The dysfunctional hippocampus causes intrusive memories, flashbacks, and nightmares. And the underactive PFC results in emotional dysregulation and difficulty concentrating. The alarm triggers with startling speed, often from seemingly harmless cues, but the system cools down agonizingly slowly. Everyday sensory information, a specific sight, a sudden sound, a particular smell, can act as a trigger. These cues often bypass the logical PFC and travel directly to the hypersensitive amygdala, setting off the alarm before the conscious mind even has a chance to process what's happening. This is why a reaction can feel so immediate and overwhelming. A smell, which has a powerful direct link to the brain's memory and emotion centers, can instantly yank a traumatic memory out of the past and into the present moment. It's crucial to understand that these are deeply physiological reactions, not a failure of character or willpower. The body is trapped in survival mode, constantly rehearsing for a danger that has already passed. This state of chronic hyperarousal is physically and mentally exhausting. It leads to persistent problems like insomnia, because the brain won't allow the body to fully rest when it believes it's under threat. This constant tension manifests as irritability, jumpiness, and a feeling of being perpetually on edge. To cope, many people begin to withdraw, avoiding places, people, and activities that might trigger the alarm, shrinking their world in an attempt to feel safe. But here is the most important message. the brain is not static. It has an incredible capacity for change, a quality known as neuroplasticity. These trauma-induced changes are not a life sentence. Recovery is possible. The process of healing involves retraining these neural circuits. It's about teaching the amygdala that it can stand down, strengthening the PFC's ability to regulate emotion, and helping the hippocampus file the traumatic memories away, correctly labeled as over. It's about teaching the brain and the body that the danger has passed and it is safe in the present. So, how does a clinician move from hearing a person's story of trauma to a formal diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder? The process is detailed, structured, and compassionate, aimed at ensuring the right support is provided. Clinicians use the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM-5. A key criterion is that symptoms must be present for at least 1 month, which helps distinguish PTSD from the more immediate acute stress disorder. The DSM-5 groups PTSD symptoms into 4 clusters: intrusion, avoidance, negative changes in mood and cognition, and changes in arousal and reactivity. First, intrusion. The trauma invades your present life against your will. This isn't just a memory, it's a re-experiencing through vivid flashbacks, terrifying nightmares, or sudden unwanted memories. These can cause intense emotional distress or physical reactions like a racing heart when faced with a trigger. Next is avoidance. A person will go to great lengths to steer clear of reminders. This includes external avoidance, staying away from people or places tied to the trauma, and internal avoidance, which means pushing away difficult thoughts and feelings. This coping mechanism can shrink a person's world and prevent healing. The third cluster involves negative changes in thoughts and mood. This can manifest as persistent, negative beliefs like "I am bad" or "the world is dangerous." Many grapple with distorted blame, guilt, or shame. They may lose interest in once loved activities and feel emotionally numb or detached from others. Finally, alterations in arousal and reactivity. The body's alarm system gets stuck on high alert. This can look like hypervigilance, constantly scanning for danger, or an exaggerated startle response. Irritability, problems with concentration, and difficulty sleeping are also classic signs that the nervous system is in overdrive. To assess these symptoms, clinicians use tools like the self-report PCL-5 checklist and the gold standard structured interview, the CAPS-5. A crucial step is ruling out other conditions with overlapping symptoms, like depression or anxiety. A skilled clinician also considers cultural context, as people may express distress in unique ways. They also confirm the symptoms cause significant impairment in daily life. This diagnostic process is collaborative and compassionate. A clear diagnosis isn't a label, it's validation. It lays the foundation for a personalized treatment plan, opening the door to effective support and the path toward healing. You do not have to navigate this alone. The good news, PTSD is treatable. Recovery begins when the brain learns that the danger is over. Trauma-focused, CBT helps reframe distorted thoughts about the trauma. EMDR uses bilateral stimulation to reprocess traumatic memories. Prolonged exposure gradually desensitizes avoidance triggers. Group or family therapy builds understanding and support. Medication can support therapy. SSRIs, sertraline and paroxetine, are first line. SNRIs, like venlafaxine, can also help. Prazosin can reduce trauma-related nightmares. Adjuncts may be used when indicated. Medication lowers the alarm so therapy can do the deeper healing. Healing requires both biological and emotional engagement. Skills rebuild confidence and connection. Step by step, the brain learns the danger is over. Evidence-based care works. Embarking on long-term management of PTSD is to accept that recovery is a journey, not a destination. It's a path with twists, turns, and occasional setbacks, but one that consistently moves toward healing. The goal is not to erase the past, but to integrate the traumatic experience into your life's story in a way that it no longer defines your present or dictates your future. It's about learning to live a full, meaningful life beyond the shadow of trauma, equipped with the tools to navigate its lingering effects. This process requires patience, self-compassion, and a commitment to ongoing care. Professional support remains a cornerstone of this journey. Ongoing therapy and periodic follow-ups are not signs of failure, but acts of maintenance, like a regular checkup for a chronic condition. These sessions help monitor for the potential relapse of symptoms or the emergence of secondary issues like depression and anxiety. A crucial tool developed in therapy is a relapse prevention plan. This is a personalized guide you create with your therapist, identifying your specific triggers, early warning signs of distress, and a clear, actionable list of coping strategies and support contacts to turn to when you feel overwhelmed. You don't have to walk this path alone. In fact, connection is fundamental to healing. Robust support networks, whether they are professionally led peer groups, trusted friends and family, spiritual communities, or local clubs, provide the scaffolding for recovery. They offer validation, reminding you that you are not isolated in your experience, and they foster a sense of belonging and hope that can feel lost after trauma. When a trigger pulls you back into the past, grounding techniques are your anchor to the present. The moment you feel that familiar surge of panic or dissociation, the first step is to pause and breathe. Intentionally slow your breath, inhaling through your nose for a count of 4, and exhaling slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. This signals safety directly to your nervous system. Then, engage the 5-4-3-2-1 method. Name 5 things you can see around you. Identify 4 things you can feel: the ground beneath your feet, the texture of your clothing. Listen for 3 distinct sounds. Acknowledge 2 different smells. And finally, name 1 thing you can taste. This deliberate act of sensory engagement pulls your focus away from the internal storm and back to the safety of the here and now. Creating structure through daily routines provides stability when your inner world feels chaotic. This includes foundational lifestyle care. A balanced diet helps stabilize your mood and energy levels. Regular physical activity is essential. Movement like a brisk walk, jogging, or dancing helps your body process and release stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, effectively completing the fight-or-flight cycle that trauma activates. A vital component of long-term management is your personal safety plan. This is a document you prepare when you are feeling calm and clear-headed. It outlines your specific warning signs, lists your most effective grounding techniques, and contains the names and numbers of supportive people and crisis resources, like the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Having this plan ready means you don't have to invent a solution in a moment of crisis. You simply follow the guide you created for yourself. Protect your sleep fiercely, as it is critical for emotional regulation and memory processing. Be cautious with substances like alcohol and caffeine, which can disrupt sleep patterns and heighten anxiety. Instead, cultivate a calming bedtime routine to signal to your body that it's time to rest and repair. Finally, healing involves making meaning. This doesn't mean finding a reason for the trauma, but rather, finding a renewed sense of purpose in its wake. Engaging in creativity, offering service to others, or connecting with a spiritual practice can help transform your narrative from one of pain to one of resilience and strength. Connection is the ultimate antidote to the isolation and shame that trauma breeds. Recovery is not only possible, it is the path forward to a life of your own design. You deserve to feel safe in your own body, to trust your own mind, and to reclaim your life from the grip of the past. Keep going. Every small step you take is a victory. Trauma may shape your story, but it doesn't define your future. Healing from PTSD takes time, patience, and support, but it's possible. If you or someone you love is struggling, reach out. There is no shame in seeking help. With the right help, the alarm can quiet and life can open up again. Thank you for watching.